Hmm. Interesting. Everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Dr. Claud Anderson, and I thought it would be beneficial to the community to allow Dr. Anderson to come in and to discuss the powernomics principles of the late Nipsey Hussle. Now, I didn't allow him. I don't allow him to do anything. He honors us with his presence, so I want to make sure that's 100% clear. And one of the things that everybody should understand is that it's very important that in the midst of how we're feeling about what happened with Nipsey's murder, a lot of people are very upset about it. We have to know that Nipsey wasn't just a rapper. He was a black man. He was a black man that believed in important ideals of community development. He believed in seeing to it that his people were taken care of, and that might have cost him his life. But I think that it also gave him the opportunity to seek immortality. Because I think he left a legacy unlike any other rapper since Tupac Shakur. Now, I want to say thank you also to Thomas Wilson. Thank you so much for your donation. It may be returned 10,000-fold. And he says, thank you, Dr. Anderson. Thomas says this. And everybody who wants to be a part of what Dr. Anderson is doing, in case you guys don't know, he's been fighting on reparations for a very, very long time, and not just talking about it, but has filed lawsuits, has pushed for legislation, has the Harvest Institute. If you want to support that, a couple things you can do. One, you can make donations to harvestinstitute.org. Somebody please type that in. That's harvestinstitute.org. Also, he sells all of his books are available at powernomics.com. There's a Black History bundle pack that he has that has all the books and the DVD for just $99, which is literally worth, I would pay $99,000 for it, because these are things that you don't learn in school. So I hope you guys will go check out powernomics.com. It almost seems that when you talk about hundreds of years of us being trained to believe that we are inferior, to believe that we are 3/5 of a person, to believe that we can't compete, it leads us into a real negative mind space. Even in the conversation about reparations, there's been a lot of debate about this, and I've told there's a couple of movements that are really pushing forward with the reparations conversation. Two things I've said is, number one, you can't have that conversation without bringing in Dr. Claud Anderson. He must be consulted at every turn. But then number two, some of the individuals that might be associated with the movements, on one hand, they're saying we should get reparations, but then on the other hand, they're saying we can't do nothing without white people. We need the government. The government is going to save us. And I'm like, well, no, we deserve something from the government. The government owes us something. There's no question about it. But our economic self-esteem must rise in order for us to even know what to do if we get the reparations. I mean, if you get the reparations check and you're not thinking big, you're not thinking on a high level, if you're thinking small, if you're still thinking like a slave-minded person is always going to find their way right back to slavery. You can give them all the freedom in the world, but freedom, I think, requires a type of courage, a type of vision, a type of discipline, a type of commitment, and a willingness to defend and support what you have in front of you. And so in a way, so Doctor, that didn't even lead to a question. That was just me doing a stream of thoughts in terms of based on what you said. I really believe that economic self-esteem is a concept, because if you take two people and you give each of them $10,000, and one of them has big dreams and the other one ain't got no dreams. One of them is dreaming about the next 10 years. The other one's dreaming about Saturday night. How many women he can chase or whatever. What's going to happen with that money? If you give each of them the same amount of money, and the guy with the big dreams, the guy that's actually got a long-term plan, a long-term vision, who's thinking as an investor, is going to do more with that same amount of money than somebody who has no dreams at all. So I want to say to everybody listening, raise your game up self-esteem wise. We're talking about we're talking with Dr. Claud Anderson about Nipsey Hussle. But one thing you can say about Nipsey Hussle in his life, based on my study of him, I did not follow a lot of his music and everything when he was alive. I knew about him economically though, because we both were early investors in Jay Morrison's real estate fund. But if you notice, one thing you notice about Nipsey is that his economic self-esteem was higher than most people around him. That's why he said, I want to be an owner. I want to be a boss. I want to control things. I want all of us to be bosses. So And I think that what's unfortunate is when you have destructive individuals in the black community who say, oh, well, you're asking black people for money and you a crook, you take it from. And it's like, no, if somebody is taking money and giving nothing in return, that's not a healthy transaction. That's a doctrine of unequal exchange, as you like to call it. But if somebody's giving you something that's going to last you for the rest of your life, and you can afford that, then that's a wonderful thing. I mean, that's a wonderful trade. So I think that we as a community, we've got to stop doing that, where we just somehow we will walk past 1 million white businesses that are robbing black people blind. We'll walk, we won't say nothing about the Arabs gas station on the corner or that's overcharging for everything. We won't say nothing about the Asian nail shop that's taking all this money out of black women's hair. We won't say nothing about big corporations like Nike and whoever using Colin Kaepernick to get you to buy sneakers. But yet we will then find the little black business owner who says, I'm going to take the money that you spend with my business and I'm going to do as you're doing. I'm going to apply it to a reparations lawsuit that you've been fighting for over 20 something years. And people say, oh, well, you shouldn't be asking for money. What is wrong? That's crazy to me. People don't, I think that people just don't understand, to really fight a war, you need to finance the war. You can't fight a war if you're in poverty or you're giving all your money away to the enemy. That does not work. So what I like about what you're doing is that, I have no problem telling people to buy the books. Because number one, that's what I did. I own them. I read them every day. I've been reading them for years and I keep reading them over and over again. But then number two, because I know what you're going to do with the money. I know that money is going to be used to sustain what you're doing, particularly in your fight for reparations. I mean, you filed lawsuits on this. Everybody else is talking. They're hashtagging it. You have filed lawsuits and you are paying attorneys out of your own pocket to fight for reparations. That's a whole nother level of reality that I think a lot of people don't get. You don't get that from just putting out a hashtag or just talking about it on the internet. You actually went to court. You've gone to Capitol Hill. You sat with political officials for decades to try to get this done. So I'll be damned if somebody gonna tell me that $99 is too much for somebody that's really out here fighting for the people. It should be $99,000. I would give anything to support everything you're doing, and I have no regrets about that whatsoever. So I think people should know that.
Well, thank you for that, and I hate to tell them this, but I don't want them to grow up and be as stupid as I've been, because you know why? In all the years of writing and writing books and filing lawsuits and putting out hundreds of thousands of newsletters on how to enrich black folk around the world. But guess what? I have never drawn a salary from the Harvest Institute. Never drawn a salary. That's in 25 or 30 years. I've never gotten 1 penny in salary. Point two, I don't even get a penny. I don't even draw an income from the Powernomics Corporation. But I spend most of that money again trying to do things to help black folk. And as a matter of fact, that's why I'm saying I passed up all kind of good opportunities to enrich myself. I look back now and an agonizing reappraisal of my behavior. I should say that white folk told me twice in history, said, Dr. Anderson, you can be a rich man and get everything you want if you do one or two things. And that is, that's what's that? They said, first of all, change your attitude. And secondly, stay away from race matters. And said, we'll take good care of you. I was told that in Texas once. I was told that in Tallahassee, Florida. They said, we'll take good care of you. And I said, what do you, they said, but you got to play your cards right. I said, what do you mean play my cards right? They said, stay away from these racial issues. And I went on and told my wife, Dr. Boyce Watkins, I told my wife, I said, baby, I got it made. If I just keep my mouth shut, stay away from race matters, you'll never have to work another day in your life. And guess what? I tried like that. I walked around for about 3 or 4 weeks. My wife said it was only 3 or 4 weeks. I thought it was a month or two like this. Just trying, so I said, I'm gonna get some money for a change. But I couldn't do it because every time I looked around, there was something happening mean to black folk. Black folk were exercising inappropriate behavior, working against themselves, complicit in their own denial of opportunities and resource and enrichment by playing around with horizontal issues. I said, I gotta stop black folk. So I gave up all the positions I'd had in government. I was at the highest levels of every level of government you can get, from the federal levels, international levels, trade missions, chairing a board for governors, heading up international programs. I gave it up to be with black folk. And so I'm poor, but it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't really matter anymore. But I want them to buy those books and learn how to read and quit letting people insult me by misusing, abusing them.
That nigga nice should be my rap name. If rap was bald, they say how he hit that from that range. I love this shit. Should pay me not to fuck your bitch. It get ugly when I'm on my shit. I don't feel like I'm done. I'm the grandfather. All of y'all feel like my sons. Knew I'm the one I gassed it when he said he was. That's cause a good leader always wanna see you become. He was too blind to follow. Get killed like Apollo. Now Rocky gotta clean up your bullshit tomorrow. I think it in project. Make sure your neck protected. Always gave him real rap, was thinking they respect it.